So we're beginning to get ready for our next meeting. Not for our next meeting, but for the beginning of the regular meeting. So Jim is there? Sheila, your microphone looks like you're on mute. And you may need to have it off mute. I only see I see Ruben. Are you Ruben, can you hear me?
Deb logged in.
Can you hear me, Ruben?
Yes, can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah. Jim, can you hear me? You're muted, Jim.
I don't want that picture up. Take that picture down.
Sheila, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
No, I don't want to show.
Why don't
I'm
you
assuming-
mute Debbie until you guys figure out what picture you're going to use or not.
Can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you, Sheila.
Okay, good.
You sound just like Sheila. Jim, I cannot hear Jim.
I'm not talking.
There you go, Jim.
Gotcha.
Alan Wapner is not here. Scott is on mute. Scott needs to unmute and Alan needs to join the meeting. Let's see, Scott, I think you're off mute now.
Yes, sir.
Scott Hubers, I still don't see Alan and I don't see Debbie.
I'm off mute, but I can't turn my video on, which is.
No. I sent you a picture.
Can we add an emergency order to go ahead and open at least one barber shop in town?
You got my clippers. I'll help you out. You know, your hair will look just like mine, but that's all I can do.
Habib at Goldline offered me his Floby. I think I'm going to do just like Jim and just put a great picture of me up.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah,
Debbie,
nice
I can
picture,
hear
Jim.
you.
I hear Debbie, but I
Can't
don't
hear
see
anything.
Debbie. And if there's anybody else who's kind of in with us right now, it's because we're trying to get this to work right.
I can't hear anything.
Did someone bring a guitar? We're supposed to be singing some song.
I still don't have anything to do.
Who's with the city of Ontario? That's going to be whoever's making a presentation, huh?
Yes.
So there's staff, Scott, Vicky is not on. Vicky is here, but she is not on. And maybe somebody ought to give Alan Wapner a call and see if he's got the right email address to get into this.
I'm here, Paul.
There you are.
I do see Councilmember Wapner on the list of attendees. that has logged in, but he's not on the panelist list.
Um,
And that is the extent of my technical capabilities.
Okay, so, hello?
okay.
Oh, you're not on the speakers.
I'm getting real used to technical difficulties with. I can hear Alan, but I don't see him.
I can't hear him.
Let's see if I can do. Who is there? Is there some master control person with this?
Yes, we have staff that's trying to manipulate it now.
See, I don't even see Alan on the list of people who are on here. I know that. Oh, he's not on the panelist. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's on the list of attendees. If you click over on attendees, he's there.
Yeah,
Or he
right.
was. He was, not anymore.
Right. He's not. He's gone. Ray is here. Staff is here. Ray is here. Richard Mounts is here. Who else is here? Chief Williams. 50. Well, if there's anybody watching us just from the public, bear with us a little bit because we're trying to get our last councilman in somehow. We're having some technical difficulties. In the meantime, Ruben Valencia wants to tell us some jokes. There you go, Ruben. You're highlighted. Okay, so there he is. We got Alan. Okay, we're back in the biz. Now what happened to me?
No, you're still there, sir. We're waiting on Debbie.
Okay, what happened to Debbie? We had Debbie.
We have Debbie just as a picture, right?
She didn't even have a picture. Just had a name. What are you doing, Alan? Stop touching me. Stop touching me.
I'm looking at all the panel, all the participants to see if Debbie's on. She is.
She's not here.
It's not showing Debbie. Alan disappeared. There he is.
No, nothing. We don't have them.
Is she on? She's not on. Wasn't this the week that I promised to take the entire city council to Lucille's for dinner? Oh, heck. They're closed. Alan's not laughing. He's still upset about it.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna eat baked potato there. That's it.
Baked potato. They have collard greens.
That has bacon in it, but thanks.
Oh. When I went to Israel, my friend kept talking about wanting bacon for breakfast, or and I would tell him it's not here, and he'd say why, and I'd say, well, it's like pork, and I mean bacon's pork. So when we ended up in Rome, we ordered breakfast, and I said, aren't you going to order bacon? And he said, they don't have it here, remember? I said, we're in Rome.
It doesn't matter, whatever.
You hear it?
Yeah, I can hear now.
You can hear now? I hear Debbie's voice. Can you hear me, Debbie? Can you hear him? Debbie, can you hear him? Can you hear everything? Debbie, can you hear me?
Maybe.
Maybe somebody else should ask.
Debbie, can you hear Paul?
No.
Didn't
I
help
think
Paul.
I think it's on purpose. I don't think it's reality. You can hear her. All right. Start the meeting. We're ready to start the meeting now? Al, Bowling, can you tell me, is everybody, I'll just kind of take a quick.
Yes, Mayor.
So, okay, everybody's ready. Okay, good.
Yes.
So for the public's sake, welcome to a meeting of the Ontario City Council. In accordance with the governor's declarations of emergency and stay-at-home orders, this meeting is being conducted by teleconference to limit in-person attendance. This meeting is being live broadcast on local cable channel 3, as well as internet live streamed on our city website. We appreciate your understanding during this unprecedented time of social distancing under the stay-at-home order. All documents for public review are on file with the Records Management City Clerk's Office. Anyone wishing to provide public comment or to address the council has been provided alternative means to do so, including US mail, email, website comment forms, as well as the ability to dial in a recorded 3-minute voicemail. All public comments received by the established deadline for this meeting will be included as part of the official meeting record. In accordance with state law, remarks during public comment are to be limited to subjects within council's jurisdiction. Remarks on other agenda items will be limited to those items. So all of that being said, our first order of business is a roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mary Leon. As I read off each of your names, could you please indicate that you are here or present? Mary Leon,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada, Councilmember Wapner,
Here.
Councilmember Bowman,
Present.
Councilmember
Present.
Valencia.
Here.
All council members are present at this meeting and participating via Zoom.
All right, so we did have a closed session, and Mr. Ochoa, because Mr. Huber is here. Mr. Huber, would you like to comment on closed session for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
All right, so our Pledge of Allegiance will be led this evening by Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States
States of America,
And to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
which
which
stands
stands
That's
one
one
nation
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, indivisible, liberty for all.
As we take our seats, in lieu of our invocation and in recognition of those in our community and nation have died as a result of the coronavirus, I ask that we now take a 15-second moment of silence and reflection. Please pause with me. Thank you very much for all of your good thoughts. So this takes us into public comments. Do we have anybody to speak or any written, Madam City Clerk?
Mayor, we have no public comments tonight, written, emailed, or telephonic voicemails.
All right, well, thank you. That takes us to our agenda review and announcements. Do you have any updated materials or correspondence for the agenda, Mr. City Manager?
No, sir, we have nothing tonight.
Okay, well, thank you. Moves us on to consent calendar, and all matters listed under consent calendar are enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless a member of the council requests an item to be removed from the calendar for a separate vote. I've already heard that we don't have any public comments, or we don't have any public comments to the consent calendar, Madam City Clerk?
We have no public comments at all.
Okay, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion by the council.
So
Mr.
moved.
Mayor, wait, Mr. Mayor, I have a comment.
Yes.
I have a correction for the minutes for roll call. It should show that all members attended via video conference.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, can you add that?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. So with that amendment, what would you
So
like to do,
moved.
Mr. Still moved by Councilmember Bowman?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Valencia, the consent calendar. So it'll be a roll call vote to approve the consent calendar with the amendment. Madam City Clerk?
thank you. Mary Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada.
Yeah.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
Motion
All right.
carries unanimously.
There you go. Okay, so that takes us all the way to public hearings. And item number 12, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing for approval of a disposition and development agreement between the City of Ontario and Kendrew Development LLC for the development of a mixed-use project located at 116 East D Street, a disposition and development agreement between the Ontario Housing Authority and Kendrew Development LLC for the development of a mixed-use project located at 308 and 334 North Euclid Avenue. Notice of public hearing has been given and affidavits of compliance are on file. We have no written communications and we have received no voicemails.
All right, so we do have, I believe that we have staff with a presentation on this matter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask you, Mr. City Manager, to
Certainly.
introduce our staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May it please City Council. This is a very significant project for the City of Ontario. I've been here for about 2.5 years now, and I can recall in the first month or so coming on board that council members uniformly were intending to revitalize downtown Euclid Avenue. And perhaps the singular most important opportunity to do that in a relatively short amount of time was what we call the C block. And so we're going to have our Executive Director of Economic Development, ably assisted by our Executive Director of Development Agency, present to you the much anticipated C block project that we do and bring forward in collaboration with Ken Drew Hutton. So with that, John, you want to walk through the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Scott, and Mayor, members of City Council. I'm joined here also by Scott Murphy. We have the presentation that hopefully everybody is able to see here. Oh, I want to advance. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so just for orientation purposes, to remind the council of our location here, the block that is the subject of the public hearing this evening is bounded by Euclid Avenue on the west, D Street on the north, Lemon Avenue on the east, and C Street on the south. The total block is a total of 2.4 acres. Council will recall that in the midst of the negotiation for the development, we have reduced the size of the site to be sold to the developer to a total of 1.66 acres, which is the area, the L-shaped area shown in red on the block. So that it's a smaller site than it was in earlier negotiations for the project, but it has resulted in a project that we're going to be able to move forward with, and again, the subject of the recommendation this evening. Pursuant to the terms of the recommended agreement, 1.66 acres will be sold at fair market value to the developer for a total of $1,663,121. Of that amount, $1,172,200 will be appropriated to the Low and Moderate Income Housing Authority Fund, and the balance, $490,921, will be appropriated to the general fund. The developer will construct, own, and manage the project with approximately 150 market rate apartment residential units, a minimum of 140 units, and 6,000 square feet of ground level commercial space oriented and fronting directly on Euclid Avenue. Go to the next slide. I just summarized the terms on the top of this next slide. I would like to take the opportunity to walk the council members through the schedule for the mixed use project, and I'll also touch on the schedule for the parking facility, which will be built under separate contract on the balance of the block. First and foremost, with council's approval this evening, all parties will jump immediately into pre-development and land use entitlement process, which would kick off immediately. This project has been vetted extensively with Scott Murphy and his team in the planning and engineering departments. So we expect that process to go very smoothly. The dates that are shown and listed here on the schedule along the left side of the slide are outside dates, not later than dates that are in the schedule of performance. We expect to be able to shave significant times off of some of these dates, but we do want to list those as they're listed in the agreement. The first thing we would prepare to do is relocate the Wells Fargo bank parking that, as the council is aware, during construction will be relocated to the North Library parking lot. Council will also recall that we've already made some modifications along C Street with diagonal parking and some signage to accommodate the relocation of the Wells Fargo bank parking. We'll also erect a construction fence and signage that would be completed at the end of this calendar year with the objective to plan an event, a groundbreaking and kickoff ceremony in roughly October of this year. The detailed construction, design and construction documents and plan check would be completed not later than July 2021. And the issuance of a building permit for the project would be completed not later than November of 2021. And then the close of escrow would follow, and then commencement of construction not later than February of 2022. On a parallel track, the parking facility, 300 space parking facility, which will be built on the 0.73 acres at the southeast corner of the block, immediately across the street from the library. That work is already underway with the preparation of performance specifications. The Public Works Department is already pre-qualifying design and build contractors this month and next month, with the advertisement and the award of the design build contract in no later than October of this calendar year. Project would then go through design review and would start construction in June of next year. So we'll have two projects on the C block going roughly in parallel with one another. So as Mr. Ochoa mentioned, it would be a pretty exciting time as far as the development of a couple catalytic projects in our downtown. That concludes my remarks regarding the project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alan.
thank you. I just want to clarify something that John said. He had mentioned about money going to the Affordable Housing Fund. I want to make it sure that people understand that this is a market project, that all John was talking about was the fact that part of the money that we're receiving is going back into affordable, that in fact, affordable is not being used to build the project. It's fully market.
Anybody else have any comments?
And on that slide, the previous slide, it said that the parking structure was going to be on the, I believe it's saying, was it northwest, I believe? Northwest corner?
South.
That's northwest corner, yes,
That's where the downtown parking facility is going to be?
correct, right across from the library.
That's north.
Well, no, that's the south.
Yeah.
South, northwest intersection, southeast of the site. There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Way to cover.
The area indicated in yellow on the graphic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I saw northwest and I'm like, I was turned around. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it is northwest if you're on, what is that, Lemon?
That's correct.
Yeah.
okay. Nice save.
Yeah, that's right. Well, as you said, Scott, this is something that's been promised for many years, and Mr. Bowman is often quoted as promises made and promises kept. And as long as I've been involved in city council for 20 years, and I know the others since before then, we've always been talking about the revitalization of downtown, and the way that you do it is you have to have people. And this is one way. This is the beginning of bringing people back to the downtown, people with expendable income too, because as Alan expressed, these are market rate apartments. These are not affordable apartments. We also have the apartments that are almost completed. I saw that Debbie had put something up on social media about the apartments over on Vine and Holt. And then there's some other conversations about even more coming in, and certainly the Starbucks. Not that COVID hasn't slowed all of this down, but things are still happening here in Ontario, and this is just the first of the next generation of downtown Ontario. I quote Winston Churchill: "This may not be the beginning of the end, but the end of the beginning."
You know,
as we
Mr. Mayor.
get going. You didn't like Churchill?
You know,
Yes.
and you have to think of aesthetics and quality. It just
Well,
can't be about a mass of bodies.
I know,
Well,
but
and I'll leave
you're deflecting back to a former conversation. That isn't what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I'm
So,
talking about the fact that you have to have a population that can support the businesses. If no one lives around it, it makes it very difficult for a business to stay open.
But it still
especially
has to have quality. And it still
Well,
has to-
I don't think any of us are disagree with the idea of quality, but I think that we have to start off with the idea of density and also the building itself. I don't think any of us disagree with that. So that's all I'm saying is that this is it's the next step in the promise to be kept, to see the city of Ontario's downtown come back to life. I love it. So if anybody else has anything to say, then we'll thank staff for the presentation, and I'll open the public hearing and let the record reflect any written comments received at this time, or any voicemails, Madam City Clerk.
No, we have none.
Okay, since we have none, then I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion from council.
Move the item.
Okay, item moved by Mr. Bowman. Second from
I'll second.
Mr. Wapner. And so we'll have to take a voice roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Leon,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Doris Parada,
Yes.
Councilmember Wapner,
Yes.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Valencia.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
We're supposed to do that.
So that ends our public hearings, and we'll move on to staff matters. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just one quick item. We had on your consent calendar as item number 9, a report having to do with federal CARES money that had made its way into the community. Suffice to say, as you saw in the staff report, these are funds that will make their way into assisting Mercy House as they serve the most vulnerable populations in our community, including homeless folks and housing insecure folks, as well as, because it's coming through CDBG, some money for downtown Ontario and small business assistance. We'll be working with the Downtown Ontario Improvement Association, as well as Mercy House and our partners there that manage a number of properties where we have units, and that will basically cover the extent of that roughly $1.5 million that is coming in from the feds. If you would like greater detail on that, Julie Bjork, our Housing Neighborhood Preservation Executive Director, and Judy from Mercy House are here. Otherwise, we just wanted to bring that to yours and the community's attention. Council reads the staff reports, but occasionally we like to make sure that the good news is heralded in the staff presentation as well. Beyond that, we have nothing else.
All right, any questions for our city manager? Okay, well then I'll move on to council matters, and I'll start with Ms. Parada. She's on the top of the list here. Our
I
Mayor
would
Pro
just
Tem.
like to ask everybody to be good to each other and check on the seniors in your neighborhoods and the seniors that you know. We're still not out of the woods yet. I expect with the testing that happened here on Monday that our numbers could go up significantly. So we'll have to see where that lies. So please, everybody be good to each other.
And Debbie, wouldn't you say that testing produces numbers? And it isn't
Yes,
like
but
they
it
weren't
also
here.
produces awareness, especially people that are walking around asymptomatic that are, infecting people and don't know it. So testing is a good thing, but because we've had limited testing, we don't really know what our true numbers are. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my comment or my question to you wasn't to make it seem like testing is a bad thing at all. I'm just saying that a lot of times we look at the graphs and they look kind of static for a few days, and some people are kind of like, hurrah, things are flattening out, and then there's another test and things spike again. But the tests actually are where we get the numbers that we reflect on. So it is a good thing. And like
Well,
you
and
said,
hopefully if you
right.
find the person that's an asymptomatic carrier, then they know then to stay home and to, to isolate themselves and to notify the people around them that they were in contact with, so that we can hopefully, put an end to be having this virus pass from person to person. So
Yeah, gives us a good idea of what's going on around us. Okay, so Mr. Wapner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you're all aware, my wife Judy is diagnosed with Huntington's disease, and this is Huntington's Disease Awareness Month. And Huntington's disease can best be described as a combination of ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. It is a terminal, fatal disease, and there is no cure. I would like everyone, if possible, to go to the website hdsa.org, and you can find out more about this disease, so that at least we can get the word out and make people more aware of what the disease is. The next item, Mr. Mayor, as you recall, we recently passed an ordinance protecting renters from being foreclosed on by their landlords if they can't make payments due to COVID-19. At the time, I raised the concern that I had about the landlord not being able to make their payments to their mortgage holder because they're not getting any rent. The city attorney did research this to see if this was covered under the voluntary accord that most of the banks signed, and in fact, it is not. So at this point, folks that own a single family residence and rent it out, if the renter decides not to make the payments because of our ordinance, then that landlord is in jeopardy of being found in default by his bank or mortgage holder. And I just don't think that makes any sense, nor is it fair. So I'd like to ask with council concurrence to have this ordinance come back, and the amendment that I'm looking for would protect property owners, and I would just limit it to maybe property owners of 4 or less units, so we don't have to worry about the 800 unit folks, and subject to the same notice provisions that the property owner has to provide that to their mortgage holder as far as the time element and all that other. So if our council concurrence had that come back, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and if I might add or ask the question, is the idea is that if somebody can't afford the rent and they tell their owner, I can't pay my rent, it has to be COVID related loss. But that also allows the owner to inform the bank that that's where their shortage is coming from and it's COVID related. So is that where you want it to go, like that?
Exactly. That's what I'm suggesting. Right now, they're not protected.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So I guess if Mr. City Manager, with council consensus, if we could come back and clean that up. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else, Alan?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bowman.
I have nothing, sir, other than to wish everybody a safe and happy Cinco de Mayo.
Okay. Mr. Valencia.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate our staff and county partners for conducting that COVID testing at our arena, the Toyota Arena. It was a well-run event, and we had over 400 people that actually went through there, and it worked like a charm. So, the dedication of all of these individuals to be out there and do their job, it just shows what our staff is willing to do. Second, I'd like to acknowledge all of our students in Ontario. I'm hearing a lot of stories from especially the graduating classes from all different schools and different grades that end up graduating because they're going without this graduation and they wanted to be with their friends and such. I just want to say that, we're there with you. We understand, but these are trying times, and, God bless you, and, you'll get through this. But just wanted to let you guys know that we're thinking about you and you're in our prayers. And just like my next door neighbor there, Jim Bowman, said, happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. Thank you very much.
All right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that about our students. And, you know, how I don't think I've ever heard, of course, I haven't lived through I mean, like a massive world war, certainly lived through Vietnam, but where kids were denied the opportunity to actually celebrate their graduation. And we've actually had some parades going through town, and some support from our safety services have been great in going out and being a part of that, and driving by and honking. And I think whatever we can do, even personally, to make sure that these kids are these young people who are graduating from the different levels of schools are being recognized. It certainly is one crazy time period in life. The other thing is that I said it the other day, actually, at church, that some of the worst of times bring out the best in people. And I've been noticing that there are so many people who contact me, and they're not saying, "Hey, how can you help me?" Some do, but most are saying, "How can I help? What can I get involved in? Where can I go?" And I've been real pleased with Unidos por la Música and the Lampkin Foundation and the Lutheran Church. I could go on, and all of these people who are even the food giveaways that have been going on. At that one was at Mathis Brothers, and the other one was just recently, yeah, on the East End also. But just I went to the one at Mathis Brothers, and they were giving. I mean, it's not junk. I mean, it's really good stuff, and people in need are being being helped. And I just think that that's a tremendous what's going on there, and the hearts of people are really showing up. And I just wanted to clean up my statement that I kind of got interrupted a little bit, but when I'm looking at downtown, during World War II, Winston Churchill, as they were, had gotten past that initial bombardment of London, he said, "This isn't the beginning of the end. It's the end of the beginning." In other words, there was a next stage was coming, where the beginning was over, and the new beginning is really what he was referring to. That's what I really love about what's going on here in downtown Ontario. Even though we're going through this massive loss of finances in our city, people don't know that when the governor says something is, to me, and I'm live streaming, but that's okay, because I think it's crazy when he says we're not going to, we're going to let everybody just, you don't have to pay your sales taxes anymore. I just think that's crazy, because they're still collecting them. But so then, why am I paying it if they don't have to pay it to the state? Because then the state turns around and doesn't have to pay it to our city to provide the services that the state requires us to do for you all at the same time. So while they cut off our finances, they're not cutting off the collection of those finances and helping the people who are paying the taxes. They're helping the businesses, which is nice, but let him say, collect the taxes, but don't give us ours. But the city, we still need ours, because we don't have very many places where we can actually earn money. But in the city of Ontario, we've been good about handling money for decades. And we're still working, and we're still moving, and we're still doing projects like the one you saw the presentation for tonight. So all that being said, I'm looking at that picture over there, Jim just smiling. It makes me happy. So with all of that being said, if there's nothing else to be added, this meeting is, we'd like to thank you for participating in our meeting by TV, by web, live stream. We appreciate your interest. And our next regular meeting is on Tuesday, May the 19th. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for being here.